It's almost there. Okay, so we are live on YouTube. And I'm going to close that because it's going to have a delay. I'm going to start broadcasting now. Okay, welcome everybody who has joined to this point. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes as people flow in. So just hang tight for a second here. Okay, so looks like we're going to go ahead and get started. So I wanted to welcome everybody here who's attending both directly through Zoom and also through YouTube Live. We are very excited to be here. Some of you might be wondering what the purpose of this show is and Stronger. And if you hadn't read my article or seen some of the communication about this, we really want people to know right now in this industry that with all these drastic changes that are occurring in our lives and everything going on with the coronavirus and social distancing, et cetera, that we need to communicate. And the concept of Stronger really comes down to two things. And that's basically that we have to understand that we can be stronger together by communicating and working together and collaborating, but also that there's an opportunity for people to come back stronger. And right now we're still sort of facing the initial blows of this thing and dealing with all of the challenges that are set forth. But at the same time, we do have to start eyeing at some point how to get through this and come out stronger on the other side, come out wiser on the other side. And one of the most important things to me that I want everybody to know is that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And while a lot of people might be down right now with staffing challenges or cancellations or whatever, try to look at the light at the end of the tunnel, and that will give you strength to push through. And a lot of you are fighting for the livelihood of your business, fighting for the livelihood of your employees. And I know it's stressful, I know it's challenging, but there is a light there. We don't know what day it's gonna be here, but we know it can happen any day. So anything could happen that could turn this thing around, some sort of good news, some sort of path to progress. And I think that it's gonna be here hopefully sooner than later. So just be ready, because this isn't something that's gonna last forever. I do want you to know that what's the one thing everybody is going to want to do when this is over? They're going to want a vacation. And you know where they're gonna want a vacation? In a vacation rental, because people don't want to be in these social distancing type environments. They don't want to be or in these very social environments like hotels. They want to be in places that sort of are in line with social distancing. So people are going to be eager for vacationing, to get out of their house, to have some fun, to do the things that we deliver. And we deliver experience, we deliver fun, we deliver new I personally haven't seen my family in 3 weeks, maybe more, because I was traveling actually for a month before that. So actually more like a couple months, but I've been home for 3 weeks. I'm sure like a lot of you have. And a lot of us are probably eager to get together with our families, to get together with our friends, to have a good time. And I do think it's really critical to know that we're going to bounce back strong. So if you need to hang on for this period during the tougher times, just try to keep your light, try to keep your eye on the light at the end of the tunnel, because it will be here soon. And when that day comes, it's going to feel really, really good. I know that that's not always easy to do in times of trouble, but I wrote in my article about Stronger when it comes to a quote that Albert Einstein said that in every opportunity or in every difficult situation lies an opportunity. And every company needs to find what that means for them, whether that's retooling, whether that's rethinking their processes, whether that's doing something you just never had time to do because we've always been so busy. Do try to look for those opportunities in your company. And I know that every company's got their own set of opportunities and things they've got to figure out for themselves. So once again, thank you for joining. We have some wonderful guests today, and I wanted to introduce the company that we're going to be talking to, and that is one of our wonderful partners here at Streamline, and this is Tailor-Made Vacation Rentals. And if you can all give a wave for a second, this is a really great company in our industry, and they're out of Deep Creek Lake, Western Maryland. And this is a 4-season destination, so they do have the luxury of having ski in the winter and lake in the summer, and it's one of the destinations that I would say is benefits from a multi-seasonal sort of destination. Now they do have 455 vacation rental homes, and their story is pretty wonderful. I'll start with Chad Taylor, Jody Rafosco, and Joe Rafosco. They are the owners of Tailor-Made, and they played sort of different hats in their company, and they obviously help with everything, but they sort of Jody focuses on owner acquisition, owner and guest relations, helps Chad with marketing. Chad focuses on accounting and IT and marketing and real estate. And then Joe is sort of the godfather over operations, dealing with hot tubs, pools, maintenance, housekeeping, laundry, lawn, plow, things like this. So they sort of oversee those, and we're very fortunate to have the rest of their team here on some of their leaders in their organization that deal with certain things. And the real thing about this particular session is having a family style run company that has experienced a lot of the challenges and a lot of the issues that everybody in this industry are going through. So we wanted to enable a platform for them to tell their story, to sort of let all of you know that you're not in this alone. And I'm glad to see a lot of this stuff in the industry. The more communication, the better. And that's really why this show started here at Stronger. And like I said, we're very lucky to have them. And I do want to, before introducing the rest of the team, I wanted to give Jody, who is the former president of the VRMA, a minute to help us understand how she got in the industry, how this group here got in the industry, and also just tell their story, how they got to where they are today, starting back in. Take it away, Jody.
Hey, thanks, Brett. Thanks for having us. And so Tailor-Made, we're about to hit our 12-year anniversary, but I started back when I was in college. My parents owned a vacation rental company here, and I was the first hot tub tech in Deep Creek. I cleaned houses. I did everything that you could possibly imagine while working for them. They sold their company 12 years ago and to their silent partner, and Joe, Chad, and myself started Tailor-Made. So Taylor's my maiden name. And we started from scratch. We literally had one property in 2008. I had a newborn baby. It was crazy. We were jumping, just hoping that both feet will land at some point. We worked out of our basements. We had no money to hire employees, so we cleaned our own houses. We mowed our own lawns. We saved enough money for mowing lawns to get a plow to put on a plow truck to plow driveways. So really, it was really organic how we grew. And we built our company organically until 2016, in which we purchased the Deep Creek branch of Long and Foster. And that's when Sheila came along, and she was their general manager. So she is our general manager. And now sitting in 2020, we have 450 homes. We have 125 employees. We have 175 in season. And a lot of this team, even though our company is only 12 years old, you will hear from the rest of the team that's with us. They were with us at our old company, so they came along. So they're just one big family. They've known us for a really, really long time, and they're experts in their field.
Excellent. Thank you, Jody. And I think it's important to know the story. And I do, just on a more personal note, I do remember maybe a decade ago when Jody and Chad's father would walk around the VRMA and hand out popcorn to everybody. And to this day, it was a gesture that I still feel. So I do think that when we talk about vacation rentals, don't forget to focus on the little things, because it's an example of how something heartfelt can really stick with you and drive something like guest retention and those sort of things. So I to this day sort of miss the guy and would like to see him at some point. So I did want to go ahead and sort of introduce the rest of the. We do have with us today on the general manager side, we have Sheila McCracken, and it sounds like Sheila's been in the industry for about 23 years or so. So a lot of experience, and we look forward to hearing from her on some of her experiences. And then we have Stacy Carlson, who's the marketing director at Tailor-Made. We've got Chris Rodeheaver, the reservations manager. And we've got Danny Scagaro, the hot tubs and pool manager. So I worked on those pronunciations, so hopefully I got them right.
Wow.
Yeah,
very well.
Chad
Nobody ever did
that one. So I definitely think that I'd like to start off by saying, just on a personal level, what has it been like for you during this social distancing phase, spending so much time with your families, being at home? What has it been like? What's come out of that for you on a personal level?
Well,
Okay.
oh, go ahead, Chad.
It's been challenging. The family life it's actually been a lot of fun as well. There's been a lot of board games. I've realized that my 8-year-old can kick my tail in any board game that we play. My 14-year-old wants me to do TikTok, but I have pretty much no rhythm, so that I run for the hills. And my 16-year-old, we play ping pong, which he's kicking my tail every single night. And then on the weekends, me and my wife have a cooking challenge, which I am losing very, very badly, but I am eating very, very well. So the Taylor House, even though it's been challenging, it's been fun.
Yeah, our kids are here. I've bribed them not to come in here while I'm talking, but Joe and I and Chad, we're all still coming to the office, but we're the only three. Sheila does come in once in a while for some of other things that she's been working on, but it's really lonely. Like, we're one big family, and right now it's like Chad, I think, forgets that we have phone systems and screams to me through the floors, like on another level. But yeah, it's been different. And at home we're doing more stuff. I've watched I feel like every family possible. So it's different. And teaching, actually, I know everybody else probably here is teaching too, and I realize I knew it. I don't have patience. I have zero.
Well, I'll go next. My honey-do list went to a honey book, so we are doing projects every night for Jody.
I do know you just built a pool soon. Are you wrapping up some of the new pool work that you probably didn't totally finish?
We are doing inside work at this point. It's still about 50 degrees. I hear snow on the forecast on Friday. So no, we're still doing inside work, but the bathroom is totally clean. I think she makes marks on walls everywhere, so I know I have to paint them.
Very nice. I know that my dog's very happy to have me home after a month or so on the road. He was loving my attention. So if he speaks up at some point, I'll introduce him, because he is the shop dog here and might like to speak up himself. So I did want to introduce Mike, who's on the screen up here. He's with us at Streamline, and he's our let's say co-host / producer there in his let's say that's his professional studio, and we'll go from there. So I did want to get into the sort of nitty-gritty of some of the problems we're trying to solve, people are trying to get into, but why don't you tell us what what the landscape of your destination is, how this has affected your vacation rentals.
All right, yeah, I'll take that, Brett. So you said that we're a 4-season resort, and our prime season is summer. Our second prime is winter. We have a ski resort, and that closed early, but it was at the tail end, so that didn't really affect us. And the only thing, if we want to say anything's positive that's coming out of all this, is that this hit for us in our shoulder season. I know that's not the same for everybody probably listening, but for us, it did happen in March and April. And kind of give you an idea or a timeline of how things unraveled for us. So in the middle of March is when the global pandemic was announced, and we watched as our future bookings started like dropping like quickly. I'm excited. We have 4 reservations today, which we were down to like 1 a day. And it was like back in the day in 2008 when we would get excited when a phone would ring and somebody would book a reservation. Chad, Joe, and I would go crazy that they want to send us money for a house. It was exciting. So it's still the same excitement right now, 12 years later. So that's kind of what's going on. So what we did is that we saw, like, when this started happening and then the global pandemic was announced, Maryland closed all their schools for 2 weeks. Joe, Chad, and I sat down, and I'm sitting there going, like, we have single moms that work for us. Like, how are people going to handle their children at home during all this? So we actually ended up giving 2 days of PTO extra to our entire staff so that they can try to manage their children and working still. And then came around March 20th, and that was a Friday. I mean, we could have picked a better day, but after listening to our employees, paying attention to the news, seeing what's going on, we're like, you know what, we're a small community here in Garrett County. We literally only have 1 hospital. And we have 3 grocery stores. I mean, we don't have an unlimited supply of resources here. And we decided to cancel all of our reservations that were coming in that day and for the next 2 weeks. It wasn't, we weren't a fan of many of our renters that still were deciding to come. But we did it. And as we canceled them, we watched our competitors book them, which was fine. We just knew what we were doing was for the best interest of our employees and our community. And our owners were very, very thankful, or not thankful, but understood. And so we did that. And then 2 days later, our county health department shut down rentals for the foreseeable future. So basically, they didn't give us an end date. They said, as long as the governor has a mandate of 10 or less, we're going to not allow rentals in Garrett County. And so that means that what we did, we stopped any new bookings for the next, I think at the time, 3 or 4 weeks, and canceled reservations in 2-week increments. So like now we're canceling April 24th, but we're really canceling everything to April 30th. We have no new reservations, 0 revenue for the month of April. And like I said, it's our shoulder season. So it wasn't as much of a concern as March being the 3rd largest booking month for summer bookings. So our concern is summer going to bounce back? Are we going to see those reservations come summertime? So that's a concern. When this all started, I reached out to an associate of mine. Many people probably on here know her as Amy Gaster. And I'm like, you know, I'm picking her brain. Like, what are you guys thinking? What are you doing? What policies are changing and procedures? And she's like, well, I'm going to kind of start looking at it as like how I deal with my hurricanes. And we have never had a hurricane. So I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what is the number one thing you would tell me? And she said, communication. And she was dead on. And so since that day, I worked with Stacy, my marketing director, and focused on communication to 4 sectors. It was our owners, our guests, our employees, and our community. And it was very consistent, and it was constant, and it changed. Like I would say one policy on one day, and the next day it changed because things changed. But we did that, and we continue to do that with Stacy's help. So it's been really good for us. But that's kind of where we're at right now. We have no renters in. Our Fridays are pretty easy. So. Oh.
So Joe, since we're talking about employees, how has this impacted your employees? I mean, do you have any experience that you'd like to share when it comes to the employee experience related to this pandemic?
Yeah, it's scary. We never thought of this. At first, it looked like everyone was staring like a deer in headlights. You know, being from Garrett County, we always said we're about 5 years behind at times anyways. So I wouldn't thought it would ever reach up here. And once it did, it was a wow reaction. It really started seeing the fear in their face and their voice. Were they going to lose their jobs? Were they going to catch the virus? And honestly, were they going to take it home to their loved ones? So it was very difficult for us here because we just didn't get the education of it. It first started with social media, and it was very hard for me to swallow because the social media, you understand, is obviously fake news, but it was hitting us at home. It was hitting me personally. It was hitting our industry. It was bringing visitors to Garrett County, which from other states. And yeah, we pretty much got everything but, speared in the back on that one. So it was very tough. We just were not prepared for that part of it. The education of it was, you look on the news, which fears you. And then, against with the social media, we started doing some things. And actually, that's pretty much what changed a lot of our policies. Social distancing, disinfectant. We worked with our local distributors. They got us some gloves. They got us some masks. We did what we ever could do. And we also were looking for advice as well. There was no playbook here. So I've called Dirk Johnson. I'm sure everyone knows him. He's executive director of VRHP, but I was on the phone with him pretty much every day, if not twice a day, just seeing what everyone else is doing, seeing what we could do better. So he helped us, guide us in a lot to help the employees, to help us change our policies. So.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that that's going to be something that comes out of this industry is a lot of general changes regarding our policies and our emergency action plans, et cetera. So definitely appreciate that. Sheila, how have you been handling employee questions and or uncertainty about their future, given I'm sure this comes up frequently in your business?
Well, when we're fully staffed, we have about 165 employees right now, and that continues to go up. So they are afraid, but they also know that we're a family and that we do care about them. As Jody said earlier, the owners of Tailor-Made gave everybody 2 extra days, vacation, PT, personal days, just to use to get through this. And that was before we kind of got shut down. But we just really have to reassure them, tell them that we're going to welcome them back, hopefully in about 30 days. And just consistent communication with them is key, so they still feel like part of the team. And the few that we do still have working, just be good to them. If you have a cleaner that's going to come in and clean a house, then maybe slip her a $5 Subway card to pick up something to eat. But that's really what we're trying to do, is just show our appreciation and just excitement to have them back as soon as we can.
I think goes back to the point Jody made about communication and just staying on top of it on all fronts is always key. And that's totally in line with what we want to help facilitate in the industry a little bit with this show. So, I mean, have you gone through the furlough process? I mean, there's obviously a difference between just simply getting rid of someone and basically saying, look, we're in a tough situation. We gotta protect the company right now and come back in 30 days or 60 days, whenever things start to get to a point. So that's sort of more where you've gone than letting people go, essentially.
I'll take that one, Brett. That was probably our toughest decision that Jody, Joe, and myself had to make. We dissected the payroll, and the first thing that came up was laundry and housekeeping, because since Jody said we had to cancel all our reservations from March 15th to May 1st, we didn't have any linens to launder or houses to clean. So we had to let go all but maybe 2 housekeepers, and our GM has actually been doing laundry herself. Then we went through each and every department, and we really didn't want to cut anybody. So what we decided to do was cut hours. So we cut someone that was maybe 40 hours, we went to 30 hours. Then we went from some that was 40 that we can get by with 20 hours. But it was a really, really tough decision. Meanwhile, our managers have really, really stepped up to the plate. And I am so thankful that we have a talented group of managers. But it's been a tough road, and we've made some tough decisions.
I can imagine, and that's one thing we're sharing as a world, right? It's not just our industry. It's like this is happening across humanity, especially in our country right now. So certainly, I know those difficult situations have to be made and decisions. So, I mean, we all transitioned into working from home, and were you guys prepared for that, for telework, or for this new situation, being out of the office technologically and things like that?
Well, Brett, we actually, Jody, Joe, and myself, when we started in 2008, we started from our basements. So we started all teleworking back in the day. We couldn't afford an office, so we were all working there. And then we started looking at cloud-based property management software. We started off with Escapia, transitioned to Streamline about 4 years ago. But meanwhile, when we started the company, I was looking at hosted exchange companies for Outlook, hosted file servers so we can host like pictures and collaborate with files. And then I wanted a voice over IP system so we can actually act like we're in an office when we're essentially working from our basements. But 3 weeks ago, when this all hit, we had to prepare ourselves, and I went out and bought 8 laptops, gave it to staff members that didn't have devices to work through. Everyone that could take a phone home took a phone home. If they couldn't, they were actually forwarding their phones into their cell phones. So where were we prepared? Not really, but kind of, it did the job.
I think it's really important for people right now to consider, as part of the process of coming back stronger, is for those that are on sort of antiquated older phone technologies to get onto a cloud, a VoIP phone system of some sort. It's one thing to get through this, but just in case something pops up again or whatever, I think that's one of those transitions that can be made pretty simply and have a major impact. How do you, Jody and Sheila, I mean, let's address this one to you. I mean, how is it managing employees remotely, from just a day-to-day, making sure they're working, properly and getting their stuff done? How's that been for you?
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, we're a big family, so we're used to being here and I'm used to seeing everybody. So then going from all remote that I'm only seeing really Joe and Chad every day it's been difficult. And there are companies that were based to be working, but we were not one of them. Chad definitely had to set up. I mean, I remember when we started, Chad's like, I don't want an office with all servers in it. Like Chad was very smart when we started this company and getting us prepared for something like that. So we were fortunate, but like to manage the employees. So every Tuesday we normally have a managers meeting, and we call it our awareness log meeting. And it's an email that goes to all the team and talks about any issues that would affect a guest. So if a hot tub's down, if the dishwasher's not working, and then updates to it, like if a part was ordered, that would be, and so we would discuss that. So we would be prepared for the next weekend if we have to call a guest, if we have to get a loaner there, that's what we did. Well, now it's shift to, all right, what are any issues, any concerns? How are you feeling? What are goals are we setting for your departments? Is there anything that we can help you do from here, technology wise? And really, it's, the managers have been amazing, but we do it twice a week now through Zoom on Tuesdays and Fridays. And then each manager sets up meetings 3 times a week with their department to go over goals and kind of get the temperature of their employees, since they're not seeing them every day. Because like reservation right now they're on the front line. And they're dealing with people that they're mad all the time. They're mad because you canceled on, or they're mad because they don't want to come and they want a full cancellation. And then they're mad because you're canceling because the governor's forced us to cancel them. So like, they're not talking to anyone happy. So it's really good to kind of keep things light. Chad did a great job. We were doing a Zoom meeting and Chad put a Jurassic Park background on and came in writing an inflatable dinosaur. And it just made the staff really feel like at ease. And he is the jokester of the group, but it was nice. So we're managing. I think we're doing a good job for what we were given. And I think the team has really stepped up. And Sheila's been dealing with some more of the nitty gritty things that they've been doing.
Well, really, it's been difficult to manage them when they work remote, but really it's easy because it's just being there to support the different departments is what we need to do as managers. But each department's doing a daily schedule of what they're doing, where they're going, who's going, and then they share it with our team. So we can kind of keep track of them all day long. And these schedules are really our lifeline right now and how we're holding on to things. We've also created some teams. And what that means is a property service member has 2 maintenance guys that they're responsible for, as well as 2 owner representatives. So they can all just hold each other accountable and talk daily and make sure that we're getting things done. Also, we have a lot of web-based meetings, as everybody's doing right now, and it just puts some spice back into our lives, makes us laugh a little bit. But also going with the family scene, I've seen a lot of dogs, which are my favorite thing. I've seen husbands, wives, I've seen children, babies. So I really still feel like we are that big family, even though we're working remotely.
That's great to hear. And I think that from a, operational perspective, Joe, I mean, how has that changed given the differences in dynamics between the types of people you would oversee and the types of people that Sheila would more than often probably oversee?
Yeah, it's a crazy part of it. I've always been a micromanager, and it's something that I've always done, walked around and checked on people to make sure everything's done. But now they're remotely. I can't go to their house and check on them to see if they're clocked in or sleeping or on the couch or not. So I got to trust the employees. I let go of the day-to-day operations, and I handed it to them. We are still operating. We're essential. We still get things done. Our people are going out to homes that are vacant. So what Jody and Chad and myself had to do is we had to look at the bigger picture. We want our company to be up and running efficiently when this is over. And that's the issue, is we don't know when it's over. So we are playing the guessing game at this point. But I believe we're doing very well. So with all the other procedures that everyone's doing, you change your priorities in the work orders. So you get ones that actually getting some income in, so you can have some income during this time. We went from 600 down to 400 work orders within a couple of weeks, which is fairly good for us. I took over some painting projects. I took over landscaping. I took to docks. Docks are going in right now. One of the things we set up was when this happened, again, Jody hit it perfect. We communicate with our owners pretty much on a regular basis at this point. So one of the things we did with them is, in this crisis, if you guys want some work done at your house, can you go ahead and submit a credit card so we can go ahead and get payment for it, rather than holding on till summer vacation rentals. So that worked out a lot. We're getting stacked up with them. So it's been a whirlwind, but we're having fun.
Well, I do think it's naturally one of those ways that we're going to come back stronger, right? It's like we have more diverse management options now, or work options, or things that we know how to be more diverse with. We probably become more comfortable with, handling someone if they can't come in for a week for some emergency. It's like we're probably a little bit more prepped now to know what that actually means. So I do think across, our industry, that's going to be one natural positive change that will come about. When it comes to servicing your actual homes and the maintenance and the hot tubs and, all the things that you do, housekeeping, inspections, I mean, generally, how has that changed process-wise or just the whole thing?
I wouldn't lie if I didn't say it changed day to day. We started with reservations. We did have some people in long-term, owners coming in, and we were like, well, let's not go in until after 24 hours. Let's wash the linens, make sure they're clean, sanitized, and brought back. Well, we changed that to 48 hours. And within hours, I think we changed it to 72, just because we're listening to the news as well. So that's our policy now. Hot tubs, they will not go check them with anyone in, owners included. So the maintenance, they have all the precautions that they need to do. But yeah, we waited till 72 hours on this.
Excellent. Did you have any feedback on your end, Sheila, as far as what you've seen change on the operational side?
I mean, we're still in business, just like Joe said, but there's been a lot that's changed. Right now, we're really looking for work. And, we're calling owners, trying to get them to put a credit card on file since we have no income, and then trying to go through those service orders and get things done that need done before this gets over. So it's really trying to find work for our staff. I am the laundry team. So I'm coming in about every other day and doing all of our laundry and trying to wash deep clean bedding just to make us a little bit of money. And just really trying to take care of those few housekeepers that we do have still working and supporting the rest of the staff. So it's definitely different, but we're still going, and that's a good thing.
Well, I would imagine you see everything from all angles as general manager of the company. I mean, how have your day-to-day duties changed during this process? I mean, are you feel like it's pretty much become more that you've had to take on, less that you can delegate, and you've really got to dig into a lot of the things that, you typically have people doing for you? Are you learning from that?
Absolutely. Everything has really changed for me on a daily basis. I've been working at home one day, coming into the office the next. Right now is the time that our management team needs to step up. They've always been fantastic, but through what we've been going through the past couple weeks, we could not ask for a better management team in every single department. So without them, I don't know where we would be, and without the owners of the company. But it's been a learning curve for me, and I can't say it's all been bad because it has trained me to step into a better leadership role. I've been doing a lot of laundry, a lot of podcasts, a lot of Zoom meetings, trying to watch what's coming in on the phones and just the nature of those calls, managing the remote work. But we're lucky because Chad, Joe, and Jody are here every day at the front lines. And it's really hard not to step up and be a better leader when you have them behind you. So
It's another one of those areas where there's the hidden, sort of the hidden benefit from things is obviously having to take on roles that you haven't done in a while and having more knowledge and expertise. I think, like I said earlier, there's these inherent things that are going to make us stronger. And I do think that, when general managers or managers of any sort have to go in and take on more of the day to day, when things do normalize, I think we'll be even better at our job of providing this experience for people.
it gives you a better appreciation of some of your back of house employees for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something I is one of the things that's coming out of this interview for me is like, that really does naturally occur throughout this entire space right now for companies that are having to downsize. So I wanted to have Danny chime in on a couple things. I know, especially for larger companies, the pool and hot tub maintenance and those sort of things become such an essential part of the process for managing so many different properties. So when it comes to COVID-19, Danny, how does that work with pools and hot tubs and those sort of things? Does it contaminate it?
At first, there was no evidence of anything released. Like the CDC at first didn't have anything. It took some digging. We did find that there is no evidence of the virus, that it spreads from human to human passing through water at all. This is a high stress time, and we understand that for staff, guests, owners, all that stuff. They're looking to relax, and this is a good way to do it. And as long as your professional is taking care of it and maintaining it properly, it's a safe thing to use. Don't let this run you off or have you fear that it's going to spread or anything. So
yeah, I mean, I can imagine that. I know this has always been a big thing for you, Joe, is the pools and hot tubs. I definitely think that generally through the process, if you think of a company with 455 properties and all the turnovers you have, and just like all the other large companies in the industry, this is a really major issue when you have so many different companies. So I always get interested in talking about the pool and hot tub process. Does it stay in fill water, Danny? You're saying there's no evidence of that. Is that what's coming out of that?
I wanted to bring up the fill water part of this. First of all, it's an essential to add water, clean your filters, do all this. So if your fill water is contaminated, you wouldn't want to use that. But when I say fill water, that's essentially your tap water. That's your sinks, your faucets, your spigots. This is everything. This is your drinking water. And as of right this second, the EPA has even chimed in along with the CDC, and they've checked drinking water sources and everything, and they're clean and clear and everything. So when it comes down to it, your drinking water safe, your recreation water safe, all of this, I don't want any, bad light being shed on any of these areas. And, yeah, you're safe. You can use it all, drinking water included.
Excellent. So what precautions, I mean, are you taking any extra precautions to keep people safe during this time that people should know about?
For sure. I mean, as everybody knows, there's all the social distancing stuff. I mean, that's widespread for sure. You know, we're spreading out. We're using gloves at every house, every hot tub we go to, from the time we get out of our car till the time we get to the tub, doing the tub, cleaning the tub, everything we do, set of gloves on. We're focusing on high touch areas. So all your security, like your straps, your locks, your knobs, your handles, you know, doors getting there, latches getting there on fences. Basically, if it's the touch area that you have to use to get to this thing, we're going to sanitize it. You know, above the water line, we're sanitizing it. That's a high touch area that the water itself is the sanitized part. So if you don't individually focus on these areas, they're going to hold things, and they're going to be an issue. So you got to focus on these areas and make sure that you're getting them clean. We also, I do want to add in there too, we also had to, you know, like they said, they did do some layoffs. I'm short staffed, so it helps that I'm down to only a few right now. I mean, we're doing it, but it gets it down to where we don't have to, you know, watch as many hands and everything too. So it helps.
I can imagine that right now, given that very few people are traveling, it's not as big of an issue. But I do foresee when people start coming back and it's still an issue or it's still a fear, it's really going to be something that people can take away from this is how to start addressing this when it's still an issue and people are traveling. So a lot more. So I appreciate your feedback on that. I'm sure a lot of others do as well. I wanted to pivot a little bit to one of the hottest topics, which is reservations. And Chris, haven't heard from you yet so much on, but I would love to hear on reservations. What is your division or just reservations in general doing differently right now?
Well, right now we're actually 100% remote. It's kind of odd because we're not seeing each other every day in the office. So we started using, we're doing Zoom meetings. I'm actually doing them with them daily, so that, because not all staff works every day. So that way it just kind of helps them see each other's face, keeps them in touch, and then I can kind of see them too, because a lot of times you can tell by just like the way they're talking or their facial expressions what they're going through. So it just kind of helps me connect with them and just kind of reassure them that everything's going to be okay. We're using Teams to communicate. I'm throwing out documents through SharePoint so that we can monitor like what they're doing every 15 minutes. And they're actually doing a lot better than I thought. Joe was right on, you know, we almost micromanage a lot, but with them, with having to document what they're doing, they have been extremely reliable and getting a lot more done.
Well, so these 5 reservations that came in, how far out booked are they?
We've had Memorial Day weekend is booking. I've had a few July and August. October is booking. Jody, has there been any others? I think that's pretty much it.
We're getting a few for the summertime, but we're getting Labor Day. I do get some for May, which is really, actually, it's good to hear because people are thinking that they're having cabin fever. But yeah, but this was only the last 2 days. Before that was like 1 reservation a day. So it's good to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited.
Good deal. Well, that's great to hear, actually, that people are generally still optimistic about traveling, even if they are being responsible right now from the social distancing requirement. So from a cancellations perspective, obviously this is one of the biggest issues in our industry. I've heard a lot of stories on, you know, over the past few weeks about cancellations. Why don't you share how you're dealing with that?
We're trying to, we have a lot of people calling. That's mainly what they're calling for, is the cancellation side of it. So we have, what we're doing is we're focusing 2 weeks out at a time because everything is so uncertain and nobody really knows what's going to happen. So we're trying not to really jump the gun on it, per se. So we're looking at the next 2 weeks. Of course, we're canceling everything right now through April 30th. And for those guests, if they have the cancellation insurance, we're pushing them to file through the travel insurance company. If they don't have the travel insurance, then we're allowing them, we're actually kind of giving them a credit to go where they can rebook the same house anytime within like the next year. And then if we get a lot of pushback as far as them not being able to reschedule, because I've had a couple groups where it's 20 of them and they don't know when they're all going to be able to get back together again. And it's really hard for them to get one date. Then we have refunded a few people just to try, you know, because a lot of people are just, they're losing jobs, they're losing hours. The biggest thing that we're finding is they just don't want to file that claim through the travel insurance company for a lot of the guests that have it. So that's the biggest pushback we're seeing.
Yeah, we've definitely heard some of that, and I have heard of some new options that are coming out in the industry that are, I think, going to satisfy some of those issues. But definitely appreciate your comments on that. And it sounds like the calls are very different now. They're mostly cancellation calls versus looking to book calls. I'm assuming. I mean,
They are. We get maybe 1 or 2 calls a day where you get a guest who wants to actually book, but it's mostly 90%, 98, probably 98% of the calls that are coming through are guests that are canceling out of fear, out of, you know, no more job, just really upset. So it definitely is different on the reservations end when you're used to dealing with all the happy people who are excited and they have this stay they're planning, and now you're getting you might once or twice occasionally run through someone who's had something that goes wrong at a house and you have to deal with that upset. Now it's a totally different degree.
You know, one of the things I was thinking was if you are doing these types of favors for people and just doing the, you know, let's say it's the right thing in these cancellations and refunds, et cetera, have you been asking for any sort of, you know, testimonials? Like, have you been asking to try to build some brand loyalty out of this, to try to get some, you know, positive reviews? Because to me, it's a major customer service success story if you are doing that. Have you guys heard of anyone doing that in the industry that's, you know, sort of saying, hey, no problem, we've got you on this, but if you could fill out this review, it would really help our business? I mean, I would think that would be a good way to tie them into some brand loyalty.
I haven't had any of those. Jody, that's you.
You know what? It's a good idea, Brett. I think that's a good way to put it. It's right now, I think the emotions are really high with these guests. And the last thing they want to, I mean, they just really, it's a thing to check off their list. You know, when I sit down, Joe, Chad, and we were like firm that we're not canceling anybody. It's in our contract. We're moving them to a future date. We're giving them a year to rebook it. But then, like, when you think about it, these people are losing their jobs. Some of them don't, they're losing their family. They're so, you gotta just remember to be human. And you know what? I haven't had one owner complain, not one. And they all realized it. But I do like to that build loyalty. I do think that for us being very more flexible with what we're doing, that these people are going to rebook, because had we not, because they all truly want to come, they truly want to go on vacation, but they just don't know right now because it's scary. So I think that if we're being more human and just thinking about it, that they're going to want to call us back and rebook, and they will feel more comfortable rebooking with a company that really wanted to work with them.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. I think that when it comes to payment plans and things like this, Chris, why don't you touch on that a little bit?
We actually changed things a little bit. So instead of requiring their second payment for summer reservations to be due 90 days in advance, we changed that to 60 days in advance. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback on that. It gives them another month because a lot of these reservations that a lot of people seem to be focused on their summer stays, not sure how things are going to go. So we pushed those back so it would give them a little bit more flexibility. And then as far as guests arriving within like a month, we're giving them like an extra week or two just to kind of see, because at the same time, we don't know what's going to happen. We might have to move them. So we're just trying to give, I think the more flexibility we give, the better they are on their end, and it makes it just a little bit easier for everyone so that they're not having to worry about that money right now when they don't really have it.
Yeah, that's excellent. I know you guys have always done a really good job of marketing to guests, marketing to owners. How has that changed during this process? I'm sure you're still using marketing principles, whether that's just being communication or whatever. But Jody, I know that you do a lot of this, or Chad, but how are you handling your marketing at this point, given that it's maybe not to drive reservations quite as much, or maybe to drive reservations in the future? Or is this something that Stacy would chime in on?
Well, the crisis really affects us all, so it's really important that we're being sensitive right now. Right now, it's not about trying to sell. It's more about inspiring future vacations and bringing back great memories of past trips to Deep Creek for people who have been here before. And then when people do decide the time is right to travel again, I just want to be sure that we're keeping Deep Creek top of mind with them as a destination. We're fortunate to have a great marketing team. We have a really good library of digital content, from photos, videos, blog posts. So we're able to use that to give people virtual vacations from their current stress, and then hopefully inspire future trips.
That's a really good idea. I think that, I have an elliptical in my house, and it's got this screen on it, and it's this thing called iFit, and it allows me to sort of run and follow somebody who's running through some city or some mountain or some lake or whatever. And I think it's important right now to get these virtual experiences one way or another, and maybe sharing vacations through from the past, or memories or whatever, can really help them remember that they're not going to be stuck in their house forever, and they're going to have these experiences again soon. So I would definitely say that's a really good idea. So what message do you think it would be important in the future, Stacy, when it comes to, travel starts picking up again? What's the next marketing message? What's your plan when it comes to starting to re-engage on trying to get people to get out and experience vacations?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to be ready for travel to pick up. So you want to keep an eye on your website traffic and your reservations. And as the news gets better, you should be seeing an upswing. So you want to create your campaigns now and be thinking about that now, so that they're ready to launch when the time is right. And in that messaging, I think it's important to communicate what your company is continuing to do to keep people safe. That anxiety is still going to be there when people start traveling again. And you're going to have to continue those changes to procedures and best practices so that people are comfortable in your homes. And then also, I think as an industry, it's going to be important for us to educate people about the benefits of staying in a vacation rental, that you can have everything you need under one roof for your family, and that can give you an added sense of safety compared to, say, a hotel stay where you have shared common spaces and you have to check in at a front desk. You really don't need to leave a vacation rental if you don't want to.
I do think that's such a huge thing to consider, and for our whole industry, when it comes to inspiring people about the brilliance of vacation rentals, which I know that everybody in our industry loves our product, and I do think it's one of the coolest products in all of the world. So when this does happen, it is a great way to market, and still, I think, be sensitive to and be human to some of the things that are going on. Let's and thank you for that, Stacy. Let's pivot a little bit to Chad. And I did want to ask you, did you guys apply for the SBA PPP sort of situation for employees?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have a very talented CPA accountant that works with Tailor-Made, and has really been looking out for Tailor-Made, for just looking at any program that would fit us. Unfortunately, a lot of the Maryland programs that came out did not fit Tailor-Made because it really focused on 50 or less employees. So we looked at the Payroll Protection Program, which is the federal program, and it was our best option. We had to look at 2 to 3 different banks that was going to administer the PPP. And fortunately, I work with a really good accounting department that had to fill out 3 different applications at 3 different banks, probably 3 different times, because all the regulations and rules have changed and really been, it's really been dynamic. So as of Friday last week, once we hit the green light, we were all ready to go, and we sent every single application out. So now it's pretty much a waiting game.
Excellent. I know that a lot of people are trying to take advantage of the different programs out there, and some people are looking to get loans. Some people are looking to do all this, and I think that is. I saw Brooke from Ventori had some good dialogue out there related to some of the programs, and that's something to maybe check into or look at.
I think also, Brett, it's constantly changing. So there might be a fourth stimulus. So it's a really good idea to talk to your accountants and the professionals and actually get their feedback. And if you haven't, you probably should. Absolutely.
I think the more resources to understand is a critical thing right now as everybody adapts. And I did want to ask Joe, what are you hoping for when this pandemic's over? What do you want to see come out of this?
Personally, to get out of my house. No, seriously. My biggest fear is not the fact that we're moving everybody and everything. It's, I hope we are ready when we get back. Perfect world, we're not going to miss a beat, and we'll just move right on into the summer and everything's fine. But in the real world, these people have been off for a month now. It may go up in 2 months. We just don't know. To get them back working in the workflow is going to be very difficult for us. It's, way I'm looking at it right now, we always say May 1st, but we are looking at Memorial Day weekend, and put it in perspective, that weekend after, I have 75 on average housekeepers working to help me clean up for the next weekend. And on staff right now, I have 2. So that's what's looking for the future for me when it's over with. I just know that Jody, Chad, and myself are going to be cleaning houses for a whole week to get these turned around. But the fear is just being ready.
I think getting ready in general is a really important thing, and I think that being proactive, like Stacy said about the marketing campaigns, is just an example of how all the divisions could try to be proactive. Assume it does come around. Are you ready to execute on whatever the next step is? And I think that preparation is really important. So Sheila, you've been in the industry for 23 years. How do you see this affecting the vacation rental industry? Do you think it'll change much?
I'm actually excited for the future. This set us back a little bit, but the positive is where are people going to go? What are they going to do when this is over? They're going to travel. They're going to take vacations. They're going to go to places they've never been before, family getaways, romantic getaways. But I think most importantly for us, this is going to make the drive to destinations a little bit more popular. And that's what we are. So I'm actually looking forward to one of the best summers that possibly we've ever had. We create memories, and people are looking forward to making some good memories right now. But also our company has led the movement here in our area since the beginning of, since this came out, and we've kept our owners, guests, and local community updated and involved on our daily practices here. But by doing that, it's caused a greater trust and respect for our company and our industry. So I think that it's also made us much stronger in our community moving forward.
Thank you. I think community is a big word here, right? It's something we haven't said too much during this one. But I do think that engaging with the community in a time of crisis is definitely something that can really go a long way. So I would give you kudos for that. And I recommend that any vacation rental company sort of looks to see what they can do to engage with their markets. And
something we did, Brett, just to throw it out there, just to show kind of what we're doing is Chad had kind of put together to deliver 20 large pizzas to our one hospital in the county, just as a thank you. And that was huge. They loved it. We got so many thank yous for that. So that's what we really want to do, and show the community that we support them, and we're just trying to protect our community because we're involved in that too.
That's a great story. I love that. I think that anything we can do to support or encourage or to back up our medical community right now is critical. So that's definitely a really good idea that hopefully some people can take away from this. I do think that you're right. People are going to bounce back and vacation hard. And I think that this people that haven't even vacationed too much, I think you sort of were getting at that, might start vacationing more, because it's like they didn't realize how important it was until it was taken away, right? So hopefully you're right, and there's just this massive bounce back of passion for our industry. Jody, you've seen a lot, being the president of the VRMA, your experience building a vacation rental company for so many years. What do you see this doing for the future?
Brett, I think, Sheila touched on it, but I think vacation rentals are going to definitely come back stronger. I think we are going to be one of the number one options right out of the gate. And I keep telling my staff, I keep mentioning, like, I feel like the floodgates will open once people are going to want to get away together. So, we have to prepare that could happen. And like to Joe's point about making sure your staff's ready. But I think in the long run, in this industry, vacation rentals are going to definitely make a massive comeback. We've been hit hard. I don't know about other communities, but our hotels are still open, but the vacation rentals are shut down. And I'd rather stay in a vacation rental than I would stay in a hotel. But I think that's what's going to happen. And I'm optimistic by nature. That's just me. And so I think that we're gonna have a good summer. I'm optimistic about that. We're gonna get through this as a country, as a world. We're gonna get through it all. But things that I would tell the VRMs that are out there and that are listening: have a plan, have a backup plan, and have a backup to your backup plan. We're hoping to see a light, which just means we're hoping to know what kind of direction we're going to take in the next couple weeks. Hopefully we'll see that come up soon. And then people should be looking at their cancellation policies. We're looking at flexing ours, just so people feel more comfortable about booking for summer, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next couple weeks. Look at your payment plans, maybe be flexible, because right now they might not have a job. Look at your insurance options. I mean, something we really didn't get into is that our company offers CFAR, which is cancel for any reason insurance. So if they have that insurance, they get a certain percentage money of their percentage of what they paid back. And look at your expenses. And Chad talked about that. Like, we really sat down, and for Joe, Chad, and I to really tighten the noose and sitting there and cut what we can cut basically how Chad says, cut the fat off things. We did it. But maybe that's how we should be moving into the future. And I think if we do all these things, we're going to come out stronger, and we're going to come out lean and mean, and we're going to be really aggressive with marketing. So I see a bright future. I just think we all need to hang in there, and we all need to bond together and make it that much better when we can open back up.
I love that. And for someone that's so well known and has such a good reputation in the industry, I think it's important to hear from you on that front. And I do believe that you're right. I do believe that this industry we have a lot to look forward to, and we have a lot to hope for. And right now, I think we have a lot to fight for. I think that I would encourage people that maybe questioning themselves or questioning their business. This is not your fault. This is not something that you can't overcome. I do think that it might take a little bit of grit and fight and going above and beyond to make it through this, but for some companies, but it's going to be worth it. And I do think that we're going to get through it together. So I would ask you to be patient as you can, be strong, try to be very calculated in your decisions. If you are feeling a certain way, wait a couple days before you make any big decisions. If you are feeling like you're in so much pressure, try to take a breath, get some exercise, talk to people, and then make decisions. I know it's going to be easy to think certain ways and feel certain ways during this time, but we have a brilliant product, a brilliant industry, and it's going to come back, and we need you there to help us deliver all these wonderful vacation rental experiences to the market and to the world. So I wanted to thank all of you again. I did want to try to keep this around an hour. If you had any sort of final comments for everybody, let me know. But I want to thank so much Tailor-Made and your wonderful team there, and everybody for tuning in. And hopefully we can get through it stronger. Does anybody have anything before we shut down here?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, you know, been in the industry for a really long time, but what I found in time of need is reach out to associates. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to other people you know in the industry, and really talk your way through it because it might make you feel better. To realize you're not alone. We're not alone. We're all dealing with this, and there's no playbook. No one has a playbook. I haven't found one. I'll write one. I'm gonna write one after this, but just know that we're all here together and we will get through it together. But this industry is so giving, and so rely on each other and reach out and ask questions or just talk through a problem you might have, and you will feel better at the end.
Well, I can already see some really encouraging comments that are loving some of the commentary. So I totally love that sentiment, Jody, and I'm glad it was the thing we finally ended on, which is really be together, right? We're stronger together, communicate, talk to people, share ideas, reach out, you know, and I think that everyone should be opening their arms right now. So thank you. Great job, Tailor-Made team. Thanks, Mike, for being a great producer back there. And thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
Brett.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brett.
All right.
Have a great day.
And enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll have another one of these next week. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye.